Welcome to Love Bite.
Me and my wife have been married for a little over 3 years. When we first got married, I felt like I was the happiest man on earth. She is smart, funny, and beautiful, and we enjoyed each other's company a lot. We had been trying for a baby ever since we got married but had failed. We ran through some tests at several infertility clinics and found out that she was unable to get pregnant. She took it very hard at that time and couldn't stop crying all day long. She kept apologizing to me and suggested that we should get a divorce so that I could find another woman to have children and a normal life. But I convinced her that I had no intention of leaving her and we could always consider adoption if we wanted kids. Eventually, she got better and thanked me for being there for her. At that time, I thought that after everything, our relationship was better and stronger than ever. A while after she got promoted, she started spending a lot more time working. She usually came home very late and was tired most of the time. I had a feeling that she was intentionally drowning herself with work as a coping mechanism to escape, but I didn't say anything since she appeared to be doing a lot better than before. This started becoming normal and we had less and less time with each other. I noticed she was becoming more distant, so I started putting more effort into our marriage, such as planning trips, date nights, making dinner on weekends, etc. At the beginning, she would hug me and tell me how sweet I was and that she appreciated everything. But eventually she started spending even less time at home. Several times when she comes back home late on weekends, I have noticed she smells like alcohol and cigarettes. She was never a smoker and I started to get worried about what could cause her to change so much. One night, while she was sleeping, I decided to go through her phone and what I found in there broke my heart into a million pieces. She has been in a sexual relationship with this man for over a year. As I scrolled through her sh*t, I kept finding more and more messages, photos, and videos, even some hardcore BDSM stuff. She would call this man her master and has been having unprotected sex with him the whole time, exchanging nudes almost on a daily basis. At one point, I couldn't take it anymore, so I put the phone down and threw up in the bathroom. I couldn't see my future with her anymore, and everything that I did for her seems like a big fucking joke now. The next day, I pretended nothing had happened and told her that I was feeling a bit unwell, so I decided to call in sick. In fact, I just wanted her to get out of the house ASAP so that I could have some alone time to process what happened. She promised she would try to be home earlier tonight to take care of me, then said she loved me and kissed me goodbye. But all I felt was just pure sadness because I could no longer tell whether her words were genuine or all lies. At that point, I decided to go online and try an escort service. I found this really nice lady and we chatted for a while. I told her everything and she comforted me, saying that she understands how it feels as she had been cheated on before. Then she asked me if I'd be having sex with her as revenge against my wife. I said I don't know, but I no longer give a shit about how my wife feels now. And after a bit more chatting, I gave her my address and she agreed to come over at around 5 p.m. After she entered my house, the first thing she did was give me a big hug. At that moment, I couldn't hold it in any longer and I just started crying uncontrollably. Eventually, we started making out and getting naked together. Then suddenly, I got a phone call from my wife saying that she was heading home soon and had bought dinner for the both of us. Usually, she won't be at home until at least 9 p.m. I told the escort lady that my wife would be here soon and that I wanted to bring up divorce but didn't know how, and she said she could help me. We put our clothes back on and I told her to hide in the bathroom for a bit since I needed to have a few words with my wife alone first. After my wife arrived home, I took her hand and led her to sit down on a chair in the living room. I sat on the couch across from her and told her that I wanted to talk about something. I wanted to confront her with the truth, but every time I opened my mouth, not a single word would come out. I was stuttering and didn't know how to put my feelings into words anymore, and after a while, she started laughing and said that I was acting really funny. I was immediately taken aback and I just stared at her in utter disbelief. I don't know why, but something in me just snapped at that moment. I stood up and whispered in her ear that I wanted to try something new and naughty. Then I went to grab a rope in the garage and went back to the living room to start tying her to the chair. She was surprised at first but soon found herself comfortable with the situation by giggling and saying how sexy it was. She started talking dirty in a way that I've never seen before, and it reminded me so much of the text messages I found the night before that it stirred my stomach. So I grabbed some duct tape and taped her mouth shut. After that, I went into the bathroom and brought the escort lady to the living room. To be honest, I didn't even know what I was thinking anymore. At that moment, I just wanted to say whatever was on the top of my head to hurt my wife the same way that she did to me. So I told my wife that I had had a secret lover for a long time now and wanted to introduce her. This obviously wasn't a rehearsed story or situation, so after I said that, the three of us were just in uncomfortable silence for a few seconds, staring at each other. But the escort lady then picked up the situation and went along with what I said while rubbing her hands all over me. Then she grabbed my head and started making out with me. One thing led to another, and we ended up getting naked and fucking on the couch while my wife was grunting, crying, and struggling to untie herself. I forgot most of the sex now because we both just went crazy on each other. We kept kissing and saying how much we were in love with each other. I also said some really mean stuff regarding my wife's infertility and wanting to get the escort lady pregnant since we weren't using any condoms. After we were done, we got dressed and I removed the tape and rope from my wife. She fell to the floor instantly and started screaming and crying nonstop. I told her that I had found out everything and wanted a divorce. Then I threw away the food she brought home and said I was going to have dinner with the escort lady and I wanted her gone when I came back later that night, so she better start packing. After me and the escort lady got out of the house, we continued to walk down the road for a few minutes before I collapsed to the floor and started puking. I didn't know what came over me to be able to do something like that. The whole thing felt like a fucking fever dream. Then the escort lady told me that she was actually terrified of me when she came out of the bathroom and saw my wife tied up like that. She saw my eyes were getting red and I was breathing heavily. She seriously thought that I was going to beat up and severely hurt my wife while she couldn't defend herself or run away at that moment, so she did whatever she could to distract me from my wife. She said that after all that fuck-up stuff happened, she was actually glad that nobody got hurt, at least physically. I paid her and we both went our separate ways. I don't think I ate anything that night. I remember going to sleep at a motel because I didn't want to go home and find out that my wife was still there. I wanted to say things had gotten better after the divorce, but they haven't. My life is now fucked as I don't know how to trust another human being enough to be in another relationship anymore. My sleep quality has gone to sh*t as I now frequently have nightmares and night terrors. Sometimes when I close my eyes, I can still see the image of her screaming and crying on the floor from that day, and it makes me terrified at myself for being able to do such a thing to someone I had deeply loved for years. I feel like I can never get over this and move on with my life.